May 2019, we led the Binghamton DHRI, which included 17 participants, faculty members and advanced graduate students. We spent 4 days studying data visualization, mapping, Python, platforms for digital publishing, and engaging in lots of independent work as well. One piece of feedback that we received from our participants was that we didn't give them enough time to play with the new tools and skills that they had learned, and we had put together a schedule that was very robust and very demanding. I would say everyone was exhausted by the end of the day, but we wanted to really pack things in. We really had an agenda we wanted them to learn and walk away with, but then the kind of negative side of that was that they didn't have enough time to explore on their own. So if we were to do this again, we would definitely give them the opportunity to take maybe an hour a day, maybe at the end of each day, maybe a little bit more, to work with the tools that they had gained exposure to with the collaboration of their peers as well as some mentors in the room. So we were really fortunate to be able to bring in outside speakers and instructors. And when we first started thinking about how this lineup was going to go, it was about bringing in expertise that we didn't feel was represented among our group. We had 2 co-organizers, each of us taught, and 2 graduate assistants who also taught. But we wanted to bring in, for instance, someone to teach text analysis who came from Cornell. And we had someone come in to teach the command line, also from Cornell. So that was our idea first, which was about expertise. But then we realized that having these diverse voices was amazingly helpful for our participants. There were things that, I think I said on the first day and maybe the second day, but when they heard it on the third day and the afternoon of the second day from someone else, kind of said in a different way or put differently, it really got through to them. And so having this range of voices was really, really important. And so those were 2 of our instructors. We were also very fortunate to have 2 outside lecturers. And one of them was Lisa Rohde from CUNY, and the other was Nikki Agate from Columbia. And they were really, really amazing in bringing into perspective what we were doing and why we were doing it. And so, for instance, Lisa brought forward a whole range of digital projects that our participants had never seen, they didn't know about. They were gained exposure to them and were able to put them into context of what they were learning. And Nikki Agate came and she talked about the values of open scholarship and thinking about taking control of one's scholarly identity. And those were really, really powerful ideas that I will say had never been introduced to our campus before. That was the first time I heard a talk like that on our campus. And so I feel like we accomplished a lot, even beyond the agenda that we had set forward for the Institute, with the help of these colleagues from other institutions. We went knocking on doors. We made sure to go to visit the stakeholders on campus in their offices. And we had really interesting conversations with each of them. And so just to give you a few examples, the Dean of Harper College was one of our co-sponsors. The Dean of the Graduate School was another co-sponsor. The Office of Undergraduate Education was also another sponsor. And the Center for Learning and Teaching, as well as the Institute for Advanced Studies in the Humanities. And so all of these different groups were interested in digital humanities. They knew that there were great possibilities and opportunities in digital humanities. We were really able to communicate to them why one needed to bring the experience of DH to Binghamton, rather than, say, sending our colleagues to another institution, which of course, is another possibility, but why we needed to bring this experience onto our own campus and what all of us could gain from it. So we were very fortunate to have 5 generous co-sponsors who were also engaged and present with us. And this is something that was really important, is that many of these co-sponsors sent representatives from their units to join us in our sessions, to sit down and learn Python with us. And so I think that they were able to really understand what it means to learn and teach these approaches, these tools, these issues. And so it turned out to be an amazingly collaborative event. I will say, for us at Binghamton, the graduate students, I think, are key in any humanities initiative. And one thing that I've observed in DH in general is that the kinds of lines of mentorship don't always move in the way that we expect them to, right? Where, knowledge starts here and it goes down to students, right? That's just simply not the way it works. And I know that it's been very powerful on our campus for graduate students to begin doing computational work. And then sometimes they show their advisors what they've done, and the advisors are like, how did you do that? What is this? I've never seen this before. And that is how then we get the faculty engaged in the digital humanities, or that's one way, and I've seen that be a very effective way. And so from the beginning, Amy and I, as collaborators, knew that the graduate students needed to play a really important role in this process. And so one thing that we did is we were very fortunate, again, with sponsorship to hire 2 graduate assistants who were with us the entire 4 days, but also taught their own units. And we also knew that we wanted to have graduate students as part of our cohort among the participants. And this is interesting because some of our co-sponsors said, well, graduate students are going to leave the institution, and then is it worth it to train them in this way? Because are they going to be able to cultivate our community? And our answer was, without question, yes, we need to have graduate students in the room. And they were just an amazing presence in the room. And I will say that I think many of my colleagues among the faculty, I don't think that they had necessarily had the experience of learning next to graduate students and also learning from graduate students, right? And so they got to do both during that week. And, we started characteristically with our icebreaker, right? And I will say these icebreakers, some people think they're very corny. I told everyone, I said, one of the reasons we do the icebreaker is so that we can understand that these hierarchies that we often observe, that they have to be reset. And we do it through something like an icebreaker that doesn't start out, I'm a professor or I'm a graduate student. We all kind of, we did a very silly icebreaker actually, which was one that really set us all on the same footing. And I thought that was really important and a great way to begin our experience. The question of pedagogical approach was one that we went back and forth on, and we talked a lot with Lisa and Kale as well about, the foundational approach that we undertook at CUNY last summer was, for me, just pivotal. As someone who had been involved in DH and had been, had done lots of workshops, lots of trainings, had lots of exposure to different methods, I didn't know that what was stopping me was the fact that I did not have those foundations, right? I kept on hitting these walls in terms of my research, and so that for me was just so important. And so with that knowledge, we moved forward to plan our DHRI, but I would tell you, we did not go entirely with the foundational approach that CUNY offered us, and we had reasons for doing so. We felt as if we wanted to combine that with what we call the kind of out-of-the-box approach, a much more kind of tool-focused, very specific outcome approach. We did both, and what the reasoning behind that was that we knew that our colleagues needed to have something that was very concrete, kind of tangible takeaways from that 4 days. And so by kind of toggling back and forth between some of these foundations, which were more abstract, and then these very tangible tools, we were able to show them that there were lots of ways to do any one thing, right? And there was not just one single right way to do, to engage in any task. And, we really emphasized versatility, but also making choices, and making choices not just because, you click on this icon and your computer defaults to opening it in this program, right? But because you understand what the possibilities are, and you are, you're making a meaningful and substantive choice. And so that was that turned out to be kind of the goal, the pedagogical approach that we came to, maybe accidentally, but that was something that I think came from that moving back and forth between these foundational concepts and then these very kind of specific tool-oriented tasks, really. Well, I would just like to say that the experience of being part of the CUNY DHRI has just been unbelievable. And when I saw the DHRI advertised, that was now over a year and a half ago, um, I just, I had been thinking like that this is exactly what I wanted to do on my campus. I knew that that something needed to happen at Binghamton, that it couldn't, we had been offering, a workshop here, workshop there. We never got any traction. But at the same time, I would hear people, they would come to me and say, well, we're kind of interested in this digital humanities thing. And they're just, the kind of, there are all these little kind of flickers of interest that we couldn't move forward on. And so when I saw the opportunity to do this, I just knew it was something I had to go for. And it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. It's been amazing because I had exposure to just the fantastic community here. I got to work with an amazing collaborator, Amy Gay, who's the Digital Scholarship Librarian, and I feel like our collaboration was one between a faculty member and a librarian that was really successful. If I can, say that at this stage, we were still kind of gauging the level of success, but just working together was so fulfilling. And the kinds of exposure I had to my colleagues in a different way, they were terrific, and they surprised me as well in their openness, their interest, their excitement, and I would say as well, I've been teaching at Binghamton now for 18 years, so a long time. The ability to bring people into a room and to realize that this group of people have never been brought into a room together for any particular reason. That's exciting, right? Because we're often looking at the same faces across the table. And so we built a new community, and I think that that's pretty exciting.